Hey guys, I'm Aaron Bull. Happy Friday. So, as promised, I wanted to discuss with you the second round of Democratic debates that took place this Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm going to try and make this as quick as possible. I know we have 20 candidates to cover, but don't worry, we're not going to get into all of them. I'm just going to give you a brief summary and get up out of here. It's Friday night, and let's go have some fun. But first of all, the second round of debates was hosted by CNN, moderated by Jake Tapper, Dana Bash, Don Lemon at the Fox Theater in Detroit. First night, you had Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, Beto O'Rourke, Amy Klobuchar, John Hickenlooper, Tim Ryan, John Delaney, Marianne Williamson, and Steve Bullock. For your second night, you had Michael Bennet, Kirsten Gillibrand, Julian Castro, Cory Booker, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Andrew Yang, Tulsi Gabbard, Jay Inslee, and Bill de Blasio. So just in general, or generally speaking about the debates, this was a much better set. It was better orchestrated. You could clearly hear the questions. You could clearly hear the answers. So it was a lot more enjoyable. I learned a lot about everybody's policies. So I appreciate CNN for doing it this way. Now, the one thing that I did not like was the orchestrated infighting. I just really wanted to hear all the policies, not necessarily them attacking each other, and certainly not attacking President Obama. But that's what happened. I don't know exactly what was the strategy behind that. And I don't even understand the whole strategy of debates, period, because that's not really the way that presidents operate. So, why do we have debates? Anybody know? Because it doesn't truly display a candidate's ability to run the White House. Because first of all, when you are the president, you rarely make decisions on your own, unless you're number 45, who don't care about nobody. He just do what he want to do. But under normal circumstances, you don't just make decisions. You have advisors. You have a whole panel of people, whose area of expertise, or who has, that topic as their area of expertise, whatever the question is, and then they explain it. They do most of the talking, advise you on it, and then you make an informed decision, whatever the question is. So the debates is kind of not really a realistic gauge for your presidential ability, I guess. But nevertheless, that's the way of the world today. But as far as the winners for each night, my winner for night one was Elizabeth Warren. And night two, I don't know. I would say either Joe Biden, Cory Booker, or Julian Castro. I think they kind of came out even. I thought that the debates would help me to narrow down my list. But this time, I didn't really mark anybody off. The only 3 no's that I came up with were from night 2, and that was Bill de Blasio, the mayor of New York City, who is also, not really doing a great job there from what I can see. I don't know him personally, but I just don't care for his whole persona, his attitude. I don't like the way that he answered the questions about, what's his name? Pantaleo, the officer that was responsible for killing Eric Garner. And I did not like the way that he was attacking Joe Biden or the other candidates. I think that you should just stick to your policies and explaining your policies and why it's best. If it's a good policy, you can present that without, putting down anybody else. My other no was Andrew Yang, just because I don't think that he has any real policy. His whole platform is this $1,000 a month dividend, which sounds great, but it doesn't address everything. But he used that as an answer for everything. When it came to closing the racial wealth gap, $1,000 dividend will do that. When it came to closing the gender pay gap or uplifting women, that was his answer again. But if you're giving everybody $1,000 a month, that's not closing the gap. That just moves it up. So if the gap is 0 to 100, and then you add $1,000 a month, now it's 1,000 to 1,100. The gap is still the same. So No, and then he said it's too late on climate change. Like, that is not the right answer. We need to protect our environment for ourselves and for our children. So if it's too late on climate change, then what are we going to do? We just going to perish like dinosaurs? I mean, I don't know. And then he comes from the tech industry, so that concerns me because he's pushing, the idea of all these factory workers being replaced by automation, which is really his strong suit and what he does. So, what are you saying? Are you gonna help these, displaced workers learn new trades or new skills to be able to work with the automation? Or I don't know. I don't dislike him. I just don't think he would be good as president. And then last, my third no was Kamala Harris, who has been a no for me from jump since she entered the race. I have stressed this to you guys. She is bad for Black people. And I hope that you watch the debate because Tulsi Gabbard spilled all the tea on her prosecutorial record, which is what I have been trying to stress all along. She had some improprieties there, withholding exonerating evidence until forced to disclose that, which is not the way that, prosecutors should be. I'm not upset that she was a prosecutor that closed cases. That's your job. That's what you're supposed to do. You want a prosecutor that does that. But there is a total difference. Sorry, I got my Bluetooth on. There's a total difference between closing cases and serving justice. Sometimes that's the same thing and sometimes it's not. But other than that, so out of 20 candidates, I really just narrowed it down to 17. I mean, I was amazed. I mean, because I could hear everybody, I could hear a lot of great ideas. I was shocked, especially every night, every single candidate had something good to say or a good point, something that made you think. And it did not help me narrow down the categories or narrow down my list at all. So what are your thoughts about the debates or the candidates? Is there anybody in particular that you have in mind? Of course, I'm partial to Elizabeth Warren so far. Like I said, I just have not seen any reason to rule her out. I think I was just completely shocked with everybody. Night 2, so I'm going to go backwards. But night 2, Kirsten Gillibrand shouting out the white privilege, accurately and clearly explaining that white privilege is real and listing instances when her white privilege has benefited her or others like her. So I definitely appreciate that. She seems to be she's a unique character. She's like a Snow White with a vengeance kind of thing. She's like that sleeper. She won't do anything, but then she goes to talk to the manager and get things done. Julian Castro, I'm impressed with him. I appreciate him bringing up Eric Garner, even before addressing Bill de Blasio with it. But, he has talked about police reform. Now, there is a total difference between criminal justice reform and police reform. And he is the only candidate that spoke to that or spoke to it first anyway. And that's as a Black American, I need to know about police reform. I need to know that that's part of your policy. That is going to be a requirement for anybody that's going into the office because these police officers are out of control. I'm not going, dog all police officers and whatnot, but come on. We need some police reform as well as criminal justice reform because those are separate. But like I said, Julian Castro, he had a lot of good things. I appreciated him, addressing Joe Biden with the crime bill. I didn't want to see Joe Biden get attacked. So here's the whole thing. All of these Democratic candidates are Democrats. So it doesn't serve the nation or the party good or doesn't serve them any benefit to have them squabbling because you don't want to expose weaknesses within the party. It's one thing if you're trying to prove why you're the best. And if you're the best, you prove that by being the best. You don't get to be the best by taking down somebody else. And that's the kind of rhetoric or whatever you want to say for the national debate. Like once you start to have to deal with 45, and I think I had some issues with the infighting and in between or in the debates, which was orchestrated, through the moderators by the questions that they asked. And they literally said, well, candidate so-and-so said this about your policy. How does that make you feel? What do you have to say about that? So I don't know if they were trying to display their abilities to, I guess, think on their feet or react or whatever, because when you get ready to debate number 45, he's not going to debate you on policy because he doesn't have any. He's not going to debate you on agenda because he doesn't have any. He's going to hit you with personal attacks and, facts that somebody else fed him, and sometimes a lot of things that he makes up. So I guess that might have been the point of why the debate was structured that way, to, see if they would be able to handle off policy debates. I don't know. But I would really just rather hear, I guess, maybe like a town hall kind of thing, because I just want to hear the policies and what are the strengths of it and why your policy is better than anybody else's. What is your stance? What is your, who are you? And, who you are never changes no matter who is around you. If you're real anyway, it shouldn't change. But I'm trying to think who else. Night one, Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, of course, were considered the front runners. So they had the biggest targets on their back. Thing about Bernie Sanders was he was awake in this debate. Y'all hear me? He was kind of sleepless. Hearing aid was off or whatever in round one. But baby, he was ready in round two. He's still a no for me, though. He's still like, if it's my choice, he's still a no, because of course I'm always looking for the Black agenda. And for me, a Black agenda deals with racism, police reform, criminal justice reform, education reform, the different forms of racism or, institutionalized racism, the history of racism, including reparation. Bernie Sanders is against reparations. So that's why he's a no for me. Now, if I were not Black, I would have a tougher decision right now. I could see why people would support Bernie Sanders. Of course, Elizabeth Warren, who is in favor of reparations, she definitely has a Black agenda, and it's larger than just donating to HBCUs or what do they like to call us? Urban areas, low income. We're more than just that. But let me stay on task. Beto O'Rourke. Wow, I struggle to say his name. Y'all help me out, somebody. But I'm just gonna call him Beto. Now, he snuck up on me in this debate. Last time, I called him Atticus Finch. I ruled him out. I wouldn't. But the last round of debates was just a complete mess anyway. It was hard to understand the actual policies. But Beto in this one, he did some homework. He did some research. And he was the first one to mention anything African-American related, anything Black related. And he actually brought it up before Marianne Williamson, who has championed the reparations fight and reparations argument on the national stage anyway. As far as acknowledging that the country is the country that it is because of slavery and all of the other things, that the way it's transformed into just racism now, but we know it's larger than that. And of course, Marianne Williamson was the most Googled candidate of night one, especially because she dropped the knowledge on reparations, the need for it, and her number were off, way off, which I couldn't understand why she put out like 200 to 500 billion. But when she explained it, she stated it should be trillions with a T. So why would you offer billions with a B? If it's approved, they gonna lowball it anyway. Don't start low. Don't start low. But thank you for bringing it to the floor. Thank you. Pete Buttigieg actually was kind of creeping up on me a little bit. Y'all know I ruled him out in round one, especially after the way he in South Bend. There was some issues there, and he had an issue with the police hiring, like he hiring a lot of white cops, sorry, and firing the only black police chief of the district. But in this debate, he addressed that. He took responsibility for the past and steps that he's, taken to, I guess, recover from that. So, everybody's human. You can make mistakes. You can make bad decisions, poor judgments, but you have to own up to it. And he did. He did. I don't know his stance on reparations, but he definitely does now have a black agenda, which I guess he understands the need for it. So kudos to him. Amy Klobuchar was the only candidate of the night that did not attack any other candidate. Even when prompted, she would not throw any shade. She kept her issues or her fight directly with Donald Trump. So I admire her for that. John Hickenlooper, I appreciate him for explaining malpractice. Because like me, I mean, most people, we associate that with the medical industry. Malpractice is not tied to just the medical industry. It is larger than that. It applies to any profession. So I appreciate him for bringing that out. What else? I'm going to try and wrap this up. I said I wasn't going to be long, but we are talking about 20 candidates. As far as immigration goes, so there's a debate, I guess, about open borders. And after these debates, I've got a clearer understanding, because I was like, open borders, like just walk in? Like, no, we're not doing that. We don't know. But I now understand, it doesn't mean that you could just walk in. What they are really discussing is to decriminalize border crossings, because right now people are locked up, or the immigrants are locked up because they crossed the border illegally, and then now they are criminals. So they didn't come in as criminals. They didn't become, criminals until they did that. And because now you're a criminal, you're treated like one. So that's the issue about the open border thing. It's not really just opening the borders wide open, like you leave your front door and you just come and go. No, it's not the case. Night one, they talked about the opioid crisis, but I didn't hear or recall anybody talking about making redress for the war on drugs, the whole crack epidemic that we had in the 80s, that resulted in a lot of people that are currently incarcerated for drug crimes. So if we're, there has to be some kind of address there or redress. If drugs were a crime back then, either they need to be a crime back now. I mean, it need to be a crime now, or you have to level it. You can't, be solved with the opioid crisis. You want to do treatment and rehab and all that, which is great. I think that is a good option, but you lock people up for almost the same kind of drug with the same kind of effects. But, okay, I'm going to keep going. I'm looking at my timer. I'm talking a little longer than I wanted to, y'all, but I really hope y'all watch the debates. If not, please go back and watch them. It's worth it. I would not tell you to go back and watch the first debates. The first debates were a hot mess. It was just, it's just like romper room, 3-ring circus or 10-ring circus or something like that. But these debates were definitely worth the watch. If you are really interested in learning more about the candidates' policies and positions, I definitely encourage you to watch the second debates. And something else that I don't know if anybody else noticed, but number one, night one was all white. And then night two was what I call Neapolitan night. You had a diverse stage, and you can see the difference that diversity makes, even just in, from that standpoint. Like the way that night one went was kind of different than the way that night two went. So, that's just an observation. I'm not saying anything bad or whatever. I appreciate the diversity, honestly. And so speaking of night two, I already talked about Julian Castro. Joe Biden is Joe Biden. I don't think that he gained or lost ground that night. I did appreciate him taking up for President Obama. Y'all know I'm kind of flip with Obama. I love him as a 44th American president. I think that he was a great president for America. He just didn't do anything for Black people. But I stress, he didn't sell us a dream, y'all. He did not run on any type of Black platform. So, I voted for him because he was Black and thought he was going to take care of Black people. That didn't work out. But he represented America well, hands down. So, to see Obama being attacked is problematic, especially when he's being attacked by his own party. And shout out to Cory Booker for clarifying his stance, because, that was one of the things that they were spinning, like, why is Cory Booker attacking President Obama? It wasn't about President Obama. It's kind of a ball and chain reaction, because Joe Biden was the vice president to Barack Obama. But, as the vice president, he only has, he has limits. He's the vice president, not the president. But, and the biggest issue that they even had with, I guess, anything related to Obama was just his immigration policies, which was acknowledged that, Obama, I guess, I don't know. I wouldn't say he passed bad immigration policies. I don't know. I'm not going to lie. I don't know. But apparently there was some questionable policies that he had, but then he also changed. That's why he passed the Dreamers Act to kind of correct that. Now, as far as what Joe Biden was responsible for, a lot of people were attacking his history with the 1994 crime bill. Cory Booker was saying that Joe Biden was bragging about having his name on every major and minor crime bill for the last however many years. So, that was a question. I appreciate Cory Booker for being Black. And I don't mean just, his skin was Black. No, he came in with the Blackness. Like, yes, I'm Black. I'm not going to hide it. I'm not going to mask it. I'm proud of it. I'm embracing it. And I appreciate him for that. Because last debate, I didn't really feel like he remembered that he was Black, or he tried, shun away from it a little bit. And, as Black people, sometimes we do that. That's a natural Black reaction when you're in a diverse setting. We tend to water our Blackness down a little bit, like, let me not be too Black. I don't want to offend. But he came in with the hot sauce and the bag. You hear me? And I really appreciate him for showing up as Black without apology. So thank you. And of course, I don't know if you watched the debates, but he had the line where he told Joe Biden, that he was dipping in a Kool-Aid and didn't know the flavor. So I appreciated that one. That's an old school clapback. Appreciate that. But who else? I'm trying to think who surprised me. Night 2, I wasn't really surprised. Actually, Kirsten Gillibrand was probably the only, and no, Michael Bennett. Michael Bennett was surprising to me, because one thing that he brought up was the need for education reform. And speaking to the fact that schools are still segregated. Even though segregation is illegal, it's like some loopholes so that schools are segregated. There is a difference between uptown and downtown, and things like that. So I appreciate him speaking to the need for education reform, which we need education reform, period. We have children that are graduating without the ability to read. They're not being taught to write in cursive anymore. You have schools in Pennsylvania talking about putting children in foster care if they can't afford lunch. Like, what is going on? Oh my goodness. But I want to make sure that I give you all the good pointers. And I think that is pretty much all that I want to cover. It was a lot, but I don't want to overload y'all. I'm running at about 30 minutes now, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut this one short. But again, leave in the comments for me. Let me know what candidates you're thinking about. Who are your yeses and who are your nos? Next debate is scheduled for sometime in September. I'm not sure if that schedule is out yet, but I will, keep you updated with that. Um, Other than that, that is pretty much all that I have. As always, I appreciate your support. Please make sure you hit the thumbs up, share this video with your friends and family. By the way, our platform is growing. We are slowly but surely growing. We are now up to 145 subscribers. So thank you so much for everybody that has subscribed. And if you're watching this video and have not subscribed, please do. And as always, guys, I am Erin Bull. Have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. I will see you soon.